We're going live right now. Awesome. Welcome everybody. We're a little bit early on our live tonight. Division 1 is under preparation. Lobby's already opened up and drivers are getting ready for our short qualifying stint. Pre-race talk, pre-race interview, and I'll be joined once again with the one and only Nathan Doan as my broadcaster, but currently he is sitting in his seat as a team principal tonight, for this quick interview. Nathan, welcome to the booth once again. Very glad to have you again for this season. How are you doing tonight?
I'm so excited, man, to see D1 go underway. But yeah, I'm glad to be talking with you again.
Yeah, absolutely. Nathan and I are, I'm going to say, rivals in Division 2. I don't know how often we're going to race together, because I'm more towards the rear end of the pack and you're more towards the front. Let's not waste too much time here, Nathan. First question for you. What motivated you to become a team principal for McLaren?
Well, so first, I'm sure, as you know, I started with Alpine, but then Ethan basically put his pride to the side to get it back, because he left thinking that ABS would be restricted off, or it'd be forced cockpit camera, I think it was. So when he got back, I went to McLaren because I was the only available spot left. But I'm very happy to be a team principal now. I've wanted to become a team principal for quite some time, just because I love being kind of a leader in situation, and especially with a team like McLaren, who last season did, well, the worst out of all the teams. They finished 10th, so I'm trying to bring them back up, and I just love a good underdog story, so time to make my own.
Loving a good underdog story, and speaking of underdog, you're one of the underdogs as well. If I'm not mistaken, you are the youngest team principal I think ZRL has ever had. Am I mistaken about that?
Unless any other 15-year-old has been a team principal before, then you would not be mistaken.
Yeah, so putting yourself up in a position there. Already the season has been underway in Division 2 and Division 3. Real quick, what is your appreciation for the beginning of the season, Division 1 and Division 2? How has that gone for you this weekend?
My appreciation for the past two divisions, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm loving the action so far. For my team, it hasn't been the best of situations. Some not out of our control, I should say. But across the whole divisions and like all of the drivers, I'd say with what we're seeing, I think we're on to a very, very exciting, situation in Division 2 specifically. We have lots of very competitive drivers. I think, we could see a different race winner each race weekend, so that's very exciting to see.
Really interesting. Nathan, we're going to look into the Division 1 draft. I'm about to put them up on screen here. The draft results. There's a couple surprises and big changes, big name changes, obviously this season. Real quick, one of the more notable ones is last season's champion Cody Lawrence not returning to the grid. Hudson Poole is now in a Mercedes. It's going to be a really weird shade of blue for the Hudson Hornet, and the return of Chad Swindle as well, who had previously been banned for suspicion of cheating. And Division 1 is nothing short of drama. What's your view on the Red Bull switch going to Chad Swindle, having picked him up in the second draft order overall for Division 1? What's your point of view on this? I'm gonna say controversial pick. The fact that he's returned, and he's definitely gonna be under fire from a lot of other drivers and team principals, because I'm pretty sure they still suspect him of cheating.
Yeah, so we both saw him last season. He was a very competitive driver when he did race, under speculation of cheating, of course, and he was actually the man who replaced Hudson Poole himself. So I think with the time that Red Bull had with him last season really showed them that he is the key driver to maybe winning this championship. We both know that he's most likely one of the fastest drivers in this division in all of Zoom Racing League. So I think it was a really good pick, honestly. Joel set his sights on Hudson Poole, which I can respect a bunch because we know Hudson Poole. He's one of the fastest drivers in our league as well. So I think it's going to be, the clash of the titans in those two drivers alone, but I think we might also have some showings from drivers such as Eric Carvalho, maybe Quentin Kay, maybe even Marc-Olivier Bastien. I think it's going to be a very... Oh, hold on. I also forgot to mention Cam Bourne, of course. He's going to be up there for sure.
Well,
but yeah.
Well, I mean,
Go on.
well, let's go ahead with that subject, right? Because that's my next question. Obviously, there's some picks throughout the grid we could, question, and some picks are maybe a flip of the coin. We've got some new drivers in. You went with, I think, a driver who's not afraid of trying different strategies and who showed really good consistency throughout Division 1 and has really been strong for his team. Always shows up, always gives his best. Cam Bourne, your number one pick, pick number 10 in a draft. Talk us through the thoughts you had when you picked Cam Bourne.
Well, so quite early on in the preseason, he did contact me and he was like, "Hey man, I just want to let you know that I'd be super interested to drive for McLaren. I've been trying to drive for McLaren for a couple seasons now, and I think with a new team principal, maybe this is finally my shot, because I think he's raced with Alpine and Williams and such teams." So another thing he told me is that he knows that he wasn't exactly the best driver last season, which, I mean, he wasn't, but he said that's only because he practiced about 10 minutes before each race. But now he told me he's super motivated to put in multiple hours of practice and to really get into this game and really compete in this racing league. So that is why I brought him on. He wants to drive for McLaren, which is obviously something you want as a team principal. You want someone who wants to drive for you, but he's also very motivated. I'd say motivation and confidence is more important than just pure pace in general. That's just my point of view. But yeah, I'm very happy to bring him to the team. Another driver I'd also like to talk about is my second driver, Major Castleman. A lot of people laughed at me when I said he was the best engineer. I would not laugh at that whatsoever. Last night. He's a very great engineer, very good with the setups, as is everyone else on the team. So do not underestimate McLaren F1 this season, or the Nathan Doan F1 team, if you'd like to call it that.
That really interesting. And when you picked Major Castleman in pick 20, did he reach out to you about his motivations and how he felt about joining McLaren?
He didn't reach out to me in quite the way Cam Bourne did, but we go back quite a ways, back into season 5, around there, and I think we both know that we're going to be good teammates this season. And I think he has motivation, and if he doesn't, then at least he has amazing setups and just a great team player in general. So I'm happy to have him here.
I think already from the get-go we could see maybe a difference in mood about how McLaren is approaching their season, and this is for all divisions so far. Not necessarily an easy beginning of the season. I think notably for Division 2, if I'm not mistaken, from yesterday night's race. But looking at Division 1, I think like you mentioned, the story is Major Castleman P20. He's got nowhere else to look but up, right? So drafted P20, he's got absolutely no pressure on him. He could be climbing up the standings. And Cam Bourne, if Cam Bourne's putting practice and regaining a pace he used to have pre F122, I think Cam Bourne could set himself up for a potential podium this season, or at least a proper top 5, and that would be mega for McLaren, considering they were, last pick of the teams, pick 10 and 20. So not an easy battle to go through, but I think it's gonna be a really interesting season, and we all like a good underdog story. I think it's been a while we've seen McLaren maybe at the bottom of the standings, and we can't wait to see them get back up out there. We saw Alfa Romeo do that a couple years back with Marc-Olivier Bastien, Eric Carvalho, under the leadership of Buffalo Trace at the time, and actually winning constructors. I'm thinking that's a story that might be coming towards McLaren in the next couple seasons. Nathan, real quick, if we look at other drivers, is there, in these 20 drivers that you see there, is there a surprise pick or a driver that you think is maybe underrated or overrated? Actually, let's do both. Let's give me your overrated driver and give me your underrated driver.
And this isn't to diss anyone, except it is. Most overrated driver in the entire league, Freddie Razzle. Most underrated driver, there might be a little bit of bias to this, but you know who I'm gonna say. Cam Bourne. Most underrated because I know when I was talking to every one of the team principals beforehand, before the draft, about Cam Bourne, they were like, I mean, he's like okay. They were not really bringing him up the way I would, but I think they haven't seen really what I've seen of Cam Bourne just yet, so I think he's going to be the most underrated driver going into this season. Unless it's someone that was drafted really low, like Magnussen Cube. I have no idea who Paul Marriage is, by the way, so maybe it could be him too. We'll have to see though. Oh, is that Atomic?
That is Atomic.
Yeah.
That is Atomic, indeed.
But yeah, most overrated, Freddie Razzle. I'll say it 20 times a day. Most underrated, Cam Bourne.
Really interesting. I tend to agree, and I'm not gonna say this about Freddie in regards to his pure pace. I think he's able to be a quick driver. Too many times we've seen in a race where he'd get flustered and into an incident, and he'd be driving angry, and he would ruin his own race by doing that. So if he could keep a calm head, a cool head, I think he might put himself in a good position. But being the first pick of Alfa Romeo tends to make it a little bit difficult on that end. On the opposite end of the spectrum, I'm gonna go for, as much as everything you say about Cam Bourne, much respect for Cam Bourne, but I'm gonna call it Kyle Blevins. And I think that Red Bull second driver, who actually normally drives with AlphaTauri, is gonna cause a couple surprises. I think with the new physics model of F123, it might suit him much better than it did with F122, and I'm thinking he's gonna have some good races. He just needs to stay out of trouble, because Kyle also has had a lot of moments last season where he had some great moments and some pretty terrible moments where he got himself into trouble, a little bit like Freddie, but I think he's got even better pace, and he could be looking at a potential podium as well. And I mean, speaking of podium, you look at the entirety of the grid, and except for a couple drivers, especially the new ones, we don't really know them that much. I mean, anything could happen, and we could have a much bigger variety of podiums this season. We don't have Cody Lawrence, we don't have Dane Clem. Hudson Pool's gonna have a lot to prove. We're gonna have Chad Swindell, who's shown that he's got similar pace to him and who could challenge him. But from those two drivers all the way down, I think this could be a toss-up for most of those drivers. There's a couple exceptions, and I'm also really curious to see the pace of our newcomers. Our newcomers being, obviously, return of Freddie Razzle into Division 1. He didn't race with us last season. Actually, he was racing Division 2 last season. We have, in the Haas, we're going to see his name under ECOS Darth Vader. That is because he's driving on a PlayStation, and I cannot change his name for the broadcast, but I spoke with him. He's one of my teammates. And I've got a name here. That is Sean Moriarty, and I'm really hoping I'm pronouncing it properly. He'll probably let me know, but Sean Moriarty is the Haas driver. Darth Vader that's definitely a toss-up. We don't know what to expect from him necessarily. And I'm also gonna correct everybody in ZRL. The AlphaTauri driver is Sid Sadgari, our Indian driver who's been a long time driver with ZRL. Had many tussles and side-by-side action with that driver. Really good driver, honestly. A lot of respect to him. Also a fellow broadcaster. So he's one of the newcomers in AlphaTauri. So he's very excited to show his pace in Division 1. We have the return of Johannes Ludwig. Johannes was a very dominant force in Division 2 at some point, came in Division 1. I think he switched to a wheel or something like that, had a bit of difficulties, took a season off, and now he is back. Supposed to have great pace. It might be an underrated pick in pick 17. And then we have Paul Mariage of French origin. Paul, who's in the secondary pick in the Alfa Romeo. And so a lot of new drivers, a lot of action. And in just a moment, we're going to have Silverstone coming up. The lobby is under its countdown. Nathan, are you ready to kick off another season of broadcasting with me?
Sir, yes, sir. Let's go.
Let's get to it. We'll kick you guys off with a little short video here, get you guys pumped up and ready, and we will be underway for qualifying in Silverstone in just a moment.
Grand Prix is underway, and that is a great start for Quentin K. Besides him is Luke Walker. Cody Lawrence has also got a position. Chad Swindle locked up to turn 1. And just a little bit of sway. He's going to try on the outside. Goes for the switchback. Goes to turn 2, and then he goes side by side. He's not able to get past Swindle. He's just going to go on, on his side. And he's got DRS there going to turn 4. It's not 29. Heroics possibly for Cody Lawrence. Will he be able to make the move stick? And it's from side by side. Look at this, it's Chad from the Quentin K, and so he overtakes Chad Swindle for the lead. Oh, but not enough to really make the move back at Quentin. There's going to be side by side action here with the Williams and the Alpine, and there's Jackson Carson trying to take advantage of that situation. Will he be able to do so? Jackson Carson with a double overtake. He does it. Quentin K, Colin Edwards both lose the positions to the Red Bull drivers. Jackson Carson is in P6. That is 2 double overtakes in 2 laps.
Blevins now. Looks like Luke will be the victor of this one. And he is,
Oh!
But what a switchback from Paul Blevins, actually. Down the inside of that corner makes Luke
No
lose
way.
traction. What an overtake from Paul Blevins.
And Dinkon's going to try to take advantage of that, and he does. Eric Cavallo drops 2 positions as Cody Lawrence takes the lead out of turn 1. So there's chaos in the back.
Dinklon too far back to make anything happen, but around the outside doesn't make it happen. Does he go for the switchback? Yes, he does. Cody Lawrence, he's almost side by side, but he's not side by side enough. He might go for around the outside here, and he doesn't. Maybe go try for the switchback again, but he doesn't. Dinklon is now on the back of him, and he hasn't gotten past this quite yet. Hasn't put him the wide though. Can he make it stick through the final 2?
For the bigger story in this moment, this is going to be Cody Lawrence coming home in P2 in an exciting race, and that is the Division 1 World Championship for Cody Lawrence in the Mercedes. Congratulations to Cody.
Airbase Tainter Racing Circuit, this classic British track has been home to F1 races since 1948. 3.8 miles long, 2 DRS zones, high intensity corners, and all within 18 corners. The third longest track of the F1 calendar never ceases to provide a spectacular racing, and our Division 1 drivers here will do just that. It is John Ranger and Nathan Doan back for Season 8 once again for Division 1 action at the Zoom Racing League here in F1, a cross-play league, and we've got the best of the best who are about to battle it out at a short qualifying here in Silverstone. And not unlike my intro, we've got heavy rain qualifying. We've got the blue wet heavy tires on, and we've got a couple drivers who are out on their banker laps, on their out laps, trying to get some heat into their tires, and we'll be looking into those. Nathan Doan, once again, welcome back to the broadcast booth, not as the team principal, but as my co-commentator. How are you once again tonight, sir?
I'm doing the same as I was, but now I'm just a bit more excited because, well, as you can see, we do have wet weather, but I also have the news from Labib that not only will it be a wet qualifying, but it will be a mixed conditions race. It will start dry and it will get wet at the end, so maybe some of these drivers will become, swimming, and they'll become swimmers. These cars could turn into boats. We both know that the Alfa Romeo already is. No offense to Simon. But yeah, so look how much rain we have here. I'm on board right now with Chad Swindell. He's behind, I believe that's Camborne. I think we can get used to that sight pretty soon. And yeah, here is the qualifying. Our first man on the lap is either Max himself or it is Freddy. It looks like it is Freddy, so we'll go on board with him. Let me just turn my telemetry on and everything. Very treacherous conditions. So normally I'm the one who will take us through a lap, but actually I think I might let you do the job here.
Well, we're gonna go on board here. It's gonna be really, really slow track here, and I think Max is gonna take it really easy, try to figure out the track here. And I'm also looking at a couple names here that are coming across my the board that wasn't expected. I think Max is normally a Division 2 driver to begin with, and he is not currently. Let me just see who the attendance real quick. So okay, so he is reserving for Ryan Newton, and I'm looking at an Alpine. That is the Alpine. It is giving me the name Zesty Stump, and that is under PlayStation. I don't know if it's. I think it is Hector Ochoa. Yeah, that is Hector. Okay, so Hector, and so we've got two. No, given the crossplay, we're going to see two different names. The Alpine driver Hector Ochoa is going to be under the name Zesty Stump. That is not a name I can modify on the broadcast, so we'll have to handle that. Same thing with 007 Prof and the Haas, which is Sean. Hold on, I've got it. Moriarty. I'm going to get the names right. First across the line is Freddie Rizal at 139.5. Definitely not on the 125s as we're used to seeing under dry conditions. This is extremely wet and heavy weather. As we could expect in Silverstone, is one of those tracks where you expect a lot of rain. And I know some of these drivers, what they can allow themselves to do is go out on qualifying and put a little bit more fuel into their tanks and go ahead and make a couple laps. But so far, we're in the 139s. Hudson Pool's quickest at 139.2. He's only 100th quicker than Max in his other Mercedes. That's not a sight I'm going to get used to right away, Nathan. Hudson Pool in a Mercedes.
Yeah, definitely a very odd sight to see, but I'm looking at the man who is taking his spot in the Red Bull. It's Chad Swindell. He's not quite done with this lap. He's not as close as other drivers are, but he is the man of the session, arguably for me. I think he can be maybe the man who takes pole position here, but of course I'm also rooting for my man Camborne. I will never stop cheering for this man, but as I forgot this guy's name. Is it Philman Goulet, or is that the other? Is it that?
Are you talking about Paul Mariage?
I have no idea. Whoever just went fastest, that is the man I'm talking about.
Oh, that's Marc-Olivier Bastien, yeah, who just went fastest and who easily got punted from the provisional pole here from Chad Swindell, 137.6. So Chad is well comfortably inside 137.6. P2 is a 138.9 with Marc-Olivier Bastien, the only other driver in 138s. Otherwise, everybody else is currently 139, but expect those times to go down. Track evolution is definitely going to help the grip, and I'm sure some of these drivers are just finding and testing to find the limits. Do we have more information from our fellow driver, engineer, weatherman Labib in regards to the mixed conditions we could expect? I assume, it's full wets for qualifying, but what kind of mixed conditions and in what order are we going to be getting them for the race?
It will start dry and then end wet.
Really interesting. So curious to see how these drivers are going to try to handle everything from setups to tire pressures and everything in between to try to get the best out of their cars. Let me see if I could get a driver cam from somebody else about to go for a lap. That is Hector over here. Actually, we do have a newcomer. Let's go with Sid Sadgari. Who's I'm seeing some. I think he's at the end of his lap. I don't know if he's gonna go for a second one. He's definitely got the battery for it. I don't see the red fuel light blinking, so he's going at it again. He's currently at a 140.7. Take us with this lap, Nathan.
Sid, you said?
Yeah, with Sid.
Yeah, so very deep into turn 3. Not exactly what you want. In the dry, maybe it would work if you got on the power early, but in these conditions, it's not helpful to do so. Second gear into third gear, just short shifting to get the extra bit of traction he needs. No DRS across the straight, normally there would be, but not on this occasion. I think that's a Ferrari on the left-hand side, getting out of the way very nicely. Into turn 5, I think this is. It's okay. He doesn't carry too much speed, that's as much as you can expect. Into second gear for turn, this might actually be turn 7. Getting an okay exit, third into fourth, fifth. Now hang tight to the right, and that will save you time. And now into Cobb's corner, normally flat out in the dry, but it will not be flat out whatsoever. And here, 2 downshifts and big lift for the man himself. Pretty good exit, and now he goes into Maggots and Beckett's. Very easy to lose the car through here, especially in the wet conditions. Does he do so, taking all of the curbs very nicely. Fifth gear, does he go into fourth? Yes, he does. And on the exit, it looks pretty tidy of a lap. I'm not sure if he's carrying a bunch of speed. He is 1 and a bit tenths down on his previous time. So he's looking to maybe improve into 15th and 15th only for now. If he wants to improve any more, he'll have to improve 6/10 in this final sector. It's not impossible, but also not very doable. McLaren around on the straight finish line and through the final Vale chicane now across the line. What will it be for Sid in the AlphaTauri? It will be a 140.591, improves into 15th. And I believe that was Major who spun around across the line. And Camborne gotten himself up into 6th position. Get in there, boy. And who else do we have on a lap right now? I think Chad Swindell is on his lap right now. He's 1.7 tenths down though, so he just lifts off. And his Red Bull teammate is right behind him. He might be on the lap. We'll see. Kyle Blevins, you said the most underrated driver could be here. He's not actually on the lap here. I think he's coming into the pits. But even though a lot of drivers are pitting, the action is definitely not done yet here.
Yeah, a little under 8 minutes to go on the short qualifying session, and it's gonna be heavy rain throughout the entirety of the session here, from what I heard. So it's gonna be really interesting to look at which drivers could improve the most. And in the Alpine, Eric Cavallo being P3 at 138.8, but so far it is Chad Swindell and only Chad Swindell at a 137.6. Just about 0.7 seconds, 7 tenths ahead of P2 of Marc-Olivier Bastien, who is now in the Williams. He spent a couple seasons with the AlphaTauri, and I think Marc-Olivier is, I thought he was coming in at the end of his lap, but he is not. We've got a Mercedes going across the line. I don't know if that is, it is Max, and I think that is the beginning of a lap, so we'll go look into it here, see what he can get as a lap, as other drivers are kind of coming into the pits. And you got to really calculate your time here, because it takes a long time to get into the pits, come out of the pits. We've got a lower speed limit into the pit lane here in Silverstone. Usually we're going to looking at 80 kilometers an hour. This time it is 60 here in Silverstone, and so that could, it really slows it down in the pits. And got to think about your strategy. You're going out for a single lap full speed on the wets, or you over-fueling a little bit, putting yourself 3-4 laps in the tank and try to get the tires under temperature as much as possible at this moment. So far, we also have 2 drivers. I just noticed Johannes Ludwig getting back into the session here. He's not put up a time in his Ferrari, and neither has Sean Moriarty and the Haas in P20, though I do believe he was just behind. There he is. Okay, so he is actually going for his lap. We'll go back with Max. Chad Swindell decreases his lap time, increases his lead on Marc-Olivier Bastien at that moment. And so man, that is really a spectacular lead, because now he's, Marc-Olivier Bastien's got to improve his time by almost a full second if he wants to look at having pole position here.
Yeah, and right now what I'm paying attention to is a couple drivers we have on the intermediate tires. So right now we should go on board with Sid. He's on the inters, and he's on a flying lap right now. Through Maggots and Beckett's, it doesn't look like he's really losing too much time. So out of the final corner of Maggots and Beckett's here, we'll see if he's up on his time at all. And he is 6 tenths up. It's time for inters here in Silverstone. So that is why most drivers are in the pits here. Some drivers are still opting for the wet tires, such as Aaron Altmaier, Kyle Blevins, Colin Edwards, and yeah, that's pretty much it. But Hudson Poole knows that inters is the right tire as well. We should expect to see Sid fly up in the times. Let's see what he does as he crosses the line. First driver just had a flying on the inters. It is a 1:39.874. So not a bad lap by any means, but he's just getting started here.
Yeah, he's a bit low on the battery here, but the inters sometimes take a lap or two to get the proper temperature under them, and so tire temps is really important on the F123. We got the new physics models, got a lot of new setup models as well in regards to the suspension in regard compared to the last game. So far, receiving a lot of high praises. Sure, guys, got the early game bugs going around. We've seen rumors of formation lap bugs, red flag bugs, and such kind of issues. But so far, and that's my opinion here, but so far I'm surprisingly content with the pace of the updates being pushed out on this game and fixing issues and correcting things. And so we'll be looking at that at a multitude of fixes throughout the season. I'm looking at a Ferrari is that Jonas Ludwig Jonas Ludwig seems to have crashed. I don't know if he's retired or crashed out, but he's just gone off. What is that? That's at Aintree. That is just around the loop in turns what is that, turn 7? I believe. Turn 5
whatever.
Actually. Yeah. So we've got Jonas Ludwig, who's gonna be starting from P20.
This car is still going though, so I actually isn't. Is he the one that's driving right now?
The Ferrari on the track seems to have completely
I think
disappeared.
he must have retired in the pits.
Oh, he
leaving
did.
the session now.
Yeah, okay, he did return to pits. Okay. I saw the mini map at the bottom right of the screen. I saw, a little red dot go off track, kind of disappear, and suddenly he was gone. Nonetheless, that's P20 for a Ferrari driver. Not a good showing to begin with, and now we're starting to have a little bit of a shuffle on the grid. We're looking at Maxime Beaulieu, who's starting a fresh, fast lap with intermediate tires. He's currently sitting P19. He's a second behind the pace. He'll need an incredible improvement to get back in and the mid-pack of the grid. This is where you expect him to be for Maxime Beaulieu, who's back with Aston Martin for, I believe, a 4th consecutive season. Actually, him and Aaron Altmaier. Obviously, Aaron Altmaier, when he's got the chance, is going to take Maxime Beaulieu back on his team. I think Division 1, although they've now had the best of seasons, I'd say last season, but they've definitely showed time and time again that these two guys work really well together and can provide themselves with good strategies. And so the Aston Martin team will be looking to have a way better season than they had compared to last season. Real quick, I think we've got a McLaren. Is that Cam Bourne? Or it looks like it's Major Castleman about to cross the line. Will he be able to improve his time? Doesn't look like he really did. And so he's got half his battery left. He's still on full wets with 1:40 to go. So that'll be his final lap at this point. He will not have time to go for another fast lap. Didn't go for the intermediates compared to other drivers. So I think it's a bit of a gamble. We practically have half the grid on wet and the other half on intermediates. I'm not sure it's 100% certain where the improvements are. I'm just going to go right back real quick on the Vale chicane where Maxime Beaulieu. We're going to see if he's able to improve on his time on the intermediates. That'll be a really good way of knowing if the intermediates are more performant than the wets. And Maxime Beaulieu, P4, 138.4. He's improved by nearly 3 seconds. Will everybody else be able to do that? I think, Nathan, intermediates are the tires to go. Chad Sundell decides to retire. He's not going out again. He's not going to go on the intermediates. We've got Magnussen Cube and P2 at a 138.1. Marc-Olivier Basset and Maxime Beaulieu. So the positions 2 to 4 on to intermediates.
Yes, but a couple drivers on the wet tires did decide that is a faster tire, and Cam Bourne up into P7. I've been watching him. The Hudson Pool takes pole position by 2/10 around that, so maybe a bad decision to retire from Chad Swindell, but Hudson Pool has pulled it out of his back pocket and slapped it right on the table, and he goes fastest, and he could have another lap here. So this is very crucial for all these drivers who are looking to improve their times. This qualifying session is far from over here. Across the line coming is Major Castleman. He doesn't improve. He might have enough time for another lap though. Behind him was Alfa Romeo. I believe that was Freddie Razzle. And now he's gone P9. Bunch of drivers still to cross the line though. We go on board with an AlphaTauri. I believe that is Sid himself, and he's going through the Vale chicane now on intermediate tires. Will this be enough to improve to maybe even a top 10 position? We cross the line now and we go into
Whoa.
P18. He stays improving, but he stays in P18. Still multiple drivers improving their time. I think that's Magnus and Cube up into P3. Intermediate tires must be the way to go because we are seeing a mixed up grid for sure here. But still not over. Ferrari across the line. Who is this? Could it be Marcel Paps? And it is, but he's invalidated his lap. Red Bull across the line now. That is Kyle Blevins, and it's going to be good for P11. Next across the line, Alpine of Hector Ochoa goes P4.
Wow.
Amazing lap from him. Then the Williams of... I still forgot his name. Oh, wait, it's
Marc-Olivier
Marc-Olivier
Bastien.
Bastien.
Yeah, he's got
And he got
pole.
pole by 6
By a
seconds.
landslide. Marc-Olivier Bastien 136.7. And that is not over. We've got a Mercedes coming in across the line. Again, that was Max in P5. And
Which is
a
awesome.
Haas, the Haas of Sean Moriarty in P4. What a performance on his end. It seems the intermediate tires were performing way better. Alan Altmaier was provisional 4th at some point. Dropped down to P9 on the wets. I'm trying to find if that is it. I think everybody's completed their... No, there's Eric Cavallo and Colin Edwards. Eric could be improving on his time. He's the last driver to go across the line, and he goes P2 on the wet tires, 137.3. What a performance from the Alpine driver, Eric Cavallo. However, he does not get pole, and that is it for qualifying under the rain. We're going to be heading to the race, and a big old mumble jumble of the grid there. It's as if we've completely shaken things up, and with different tires being used and different drivers finding different advantages. At the end of the day, it is Marc-Olivier Bastien in the Williams. He's starting on pole. Look at that 6/10 advantage he's got. 136.7. Eric Cavallo in P2, followed by Hudson Poole, Chad Swindell. We've got Sean Moriarty, Magnussen Cube, Max in a Mercedes, Freddie Rizal P8. He was drafted P8. He likes the number 8. He's going to stick there. That is Hector Ochoa in the Alpine P9. Paul Mariage P10. Followed by Aaron Altmaier, Maxime Beaulieu, two very similarly paced drivers, both on different tires. Marcel Paps, Cam Bourne, Cal Blevins, Quentin Kay, a little bit disappointing for him. P16, Colin Edwards, Sid Sadgare, Major Castleman, and Johannes Ludwig was not able to put a lap in. I don't know if he's going to be able to put a lap in into the race. Nathan, do you know what time it is right now?
I don't know if you heard that, but my dad's money is on Hector Ochoa. I know what time it is, but I actually don't have mine, so postpone it for 1 second as I get my drink, and I'll tell you when it's time.
All right, I'm going to crack it open at the same time as you, friend. Let me tell you something. We don't have the classic T-posing engineers and mechanics in the pit lanes, and that is that is a nice sight. Players are getting ready. So far, we're looking at a sunny beginning of the race. You're back. Are you ready for it, Nathan?
Yes, sir. I've cracked open my cold one.
All right, guys. It's time to crack open a cold one. There you go.
That was a horrible noise. It didn't pick up on your microphone. I'm sorry to say.
I am sad, but that is unfortunate. We're having a lot of fun here, and that is how it is in D1, although there's a bit of a delay or wait. I don't know if it's just time.
Yeah. You know who isn't here, though? You know who isn't here?
Who is not here?
Take a look at the grid boxes, or the pit boxes. Tell me what you don't see.
Oh yeah,
Who
you
have we
were
lost to?
away. I was not seeing. I said that to the viewers earlier.
Oh.
We're no T-posing mechanics. Isn't that wonderful?
No, man, I missed them. But now we can see them patiently sitting in their garages, watching the TVs, and so are we. I mean, we haven't even gotten to the start of the session yet.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if this could be a lobby restart. In the last game, our very first race of the season, we did have the same situation exactly like this. Some people blame crossplay. You know, we've seen, not to point any fingers, but we were seeing Johannes Ludwig going in and out of the session often, restarting his game, and so I don't know if that is something that may have caused issues. We will keep an eye on it, and as
Oh, you will?
we're good. All right, so that took a bit of time. And compared to last season, guess what is back? This is a formation lap. And what does the formation lap allow us to do, Nathan? We get to talk strategies, and there's a multitude of strategies that could be viable for this race. Talk us through the different kind of strategies as where I'm putting up the tires. Look at this. It's half and half mediums and hards, except for Freddie Rizal. He's gonna go on the softs.
Yeah, so main strategy, similar to last year, is the hard to medium, but now there's a bit of spice into it. Drivers like Hudson Poole and actually both Mercedes are on the medium tires, as well as Atomic, Marcel Pabst, Quinton K, and Sid. Well, they're all on medium tires. And of course, we got number one fraud in this league on the soft tires. So he's maybe going to be making up some positions if he can keep it straight on track. But yeah, like I said, main strategy, hard to medium, people would pit maybe around lap 14. Undercut would be probably lap 13. Mediums pitting around maybe lap 11, softs lap 9 at the latest. So this is exactly what we're going to see. And yeah, like you said, back with the formation lap. Some notes for the formation lap. If you get disqualified from the formation lap, not the race, if you get disqualified, your tire temps will reset, so that is why some people may not get quite off the line as much as they would like. And of course, with the formation lap introduced last year, you can park in your own grid box, which will maybe give you an advantage, disadvantage, or maybe you can just stay with the green timed parking spot, which will mean that you're perfectly fine. So there's a bit more of a factor. Some tire warming methods are such as braking on the throttle, stuff like that. As you have just seen in the chat, the poll says, can Marc-Olivier Bastien hold on for a win? John Ranger, who's your toonie on?
I love the sound of an American telling me what a toonie is. Honestly, I think Marc-Olivier Bastien is due. I think last season, the end of his last season was a bit more difficult. He's shown incredible pace in a wet scenario. I think he's gonna do so again once the rain comes down eventually during this race. He's starting on pole. We would love to see a Williams win a race in Division 1. That would be fantastic.
Dan would be kicking in his seat. I'll let you take the lights here as Johannes Ludwig lines up in his spot.
Yeah.
And he's got it, so take it away.
Cameras are going. I have a weird view
The
here. And looks like the lights are away. And away we go. The British Grand Prix is underway. The camera's a bit swaying a little bit. Just have a bit of a reset there. Here it is. Marc-Olivier Bastien goes around turn one, and he's got the lead. Oh, there's a bit of an incident in the back, and it's a bit of a trickle effect. It is Sean Moriarty who's got hit in the rear, and the Haas tumbles down the order. There's a bit of a pile-up in the back. I don't know if we're going to have a safety car from that. There's a reset on track. We can visibly see it on the mini-map. And that is not going to trigger any kind of virtual or full safety car in this situation. Nonetheless, it is still Marc-Olivier Bastien, followed closely behind by Hudson Poole. Chad Swindell in P3. Max is right behind. Eric Cavallo, Freddie Rizal has gained a position. So has Cam Bourne. We're going to look at real quick at position changes. Look at this. It's 3 positions for Hector Ochoa, for Max, for Aaron Ottmeyer. Once again, there's a yellow sector flag, and it is another Haas that spins around left field, and that is Quinton K. Quinton K, who's not having a great start to his season, although very early, and once again, no safety car going on. And there's also a Ferrari in the back that is Johannes Ludwig, who's far behind the pack, and so already 3 cars, due to incidents, have dropped out of the pack. And we're going to have a little bit of a side-by-side action, and Hudson Poole does take the lead. The strength of the slipstream is really strong here in Silverstone, and Hudson Poole takes the lead from Marc-Olivier Bastien. Chad Swindell, who's closely behind him. He's going to try to take advantage of the situation, but doesn't go for it. There looks like there was another incident in the back, quite a massive one. What did you see, Nathan?
Okay, so Cam Bourne, I was on board with him, of course, no bias, and he was going around the outside of Freddie Rizal, but Magnussen Cube was trying to follow him through, and while he did that, Magnussen Cube flew into the back of the Alfa Romeo, spun him around, and got the Aston Martin of Maxime Beaulieu tangled in it as well. So no bias, of course, but Cam Bourne is up 6 positions and into 8th. So far, good showing from him. A little bit of a battle, I think, between Maxime and Sid. Good showing from Maxime as he makes it around the outside of, I think that's turn 5. Other than that, we have a bunch of big losers here. No offense, other than to Freddie Razel, of course. The two Haas's both having a bit of an incident at the start. I think I forgot his name already. You can say it here into the pits here.
Oh yeah, that's Sean my God, I'm gonna get it eventually. Sean Moriarty. I keep mixing it up with Paul Mariage, but Sean Moriarty in the Haas 007 Prof. For professional.
And then Quentin K spun around. I believe that's Luffield or Brooklands or Woodlands. You know, I mix them up all the time. And so that is why both Haas's are at the back of the pack right now. In terms of battle for the lead, though, as Hudson Poole just went off on Stowe Corner, he's back onto the track now, but may have gotten a warning for that. We will have DRS enabled on this very lap as Hudson Poole crosses the line. Does he put in the fastest lap? He does. Will it be taken away, though? Not yet. Hudson Poole in the lead in the fastest lap, but now he's got none other than Marc-Olivier Bastien on his back with DRS, and also the likes of Chad Swindell, both very, very competent racers. Max has seemed to drop off the pack a little bit, but that's alright. Both of the Alpines, P5, P6, great showing from them. Aaron Altmaier, P7, Cam Bourne, P8, Marcel Pabst in P9, Colin Edwards, 10, Magnussen Cube, down 5 positions, is now in 11th place with Kyle Blevins right behind him. And Magnussen Cube is actually going to go for a move here on Colin Edwards down the inside. And they make a bit of contact. Getting forced wide is Colin Edwards, but around the outside again goes Magnussen Cube. He's going to try sticking around the outside. He's running out of space just ever so slightly. Going on the battery, but he doesn't have lots of it. So now he's going to try around the outside of Cobb's corner. Can he make it stick? Around the outside? Yes, he can, but does he keep it on track? Yes, he does. Great move from the Williams driver. Into P10 he goes. So, continuing with the positions now, Kyle Blevins, P12, Atomic just got in a time penalty, our first of this race so far. Is in 13th. Major Castleman right behind him. We have a bit of a DRS train from Cam Bourne down to, I think that's Johannes Ludwig. But in between them, I think Cam Bourne just got overtaken actually. And so Maxime P15, Sid P16, Johannes P17, P18 goes to Quentin K, P19 goes to Freddie Razel, and I've forgotten his name again, but P20 for him, the Haas driver. And so far, Hudson Poole has stuck with his lead. He hasn't surrendered so far to the likes of Marc-Olivier Bastien or Chad Swindell. He's got the tire advantage for now, but his tires will just rot away a bit quicker than the two people behind him. So maybe we will see either one of those drivers try and take advantage of that in the future here.
Yeah, the DRS areas are really strong, but you have to have the proper tire the proper tire compound to be able to make the moves. And at this point, Hudson Poole's got the better tires, those mediums. And I think there's an Alfa Romeo who's around and in the back, and that is indeed Paul Mariage. So we've got two Alfa Romeos who's having issues. Freddie Razel had to pit from damage earlier on, and the Ville Chicane was an incident. And Paul Mariage with a 3-second time penalty goes around just around left field and is now sitting in P18. Not the race start you want to have for the Alfa Romeos to begin with, but this could be a long race. Nathan, look at how the top 3 drivers have completely pulled away from the rest of the pack. Hudson Poole, Marc-Olivier Bastien, Chad Swindell, and in the back, Eric Cavallo just made a move for P4 on Max in his Alpine. And Marc-Olivier is all over the rear of Hudson Poole, but he's going to try to be patient about making his next move. He's got to find a moment to attack. At the same time, he's got to make sure it works, because the second he tries on an offensive move on Hudson Poole and it does not work, Chad Swindell is going to have the open door to make a move and take advantage of that opportunity. Doesn't look like Paul Mariage has any damage in the back of the pack. He had a moment early on. He's not in the pit, so he's going back and going to keep on racing. Really disappointing race so far for Quentin K. A lot of chatter in the pit box. Really thought he would be up there to battle for a win, and maybe that's just a little bit of bad luck for him. But so far, P16 is not cutting it in regards to the expectations on him. As we're watching Marc-Olivier Bastien, who's about to go to Cops, just letting the the slipstream or the drag reduction drag him towards Hudson Poole. Here we go in Magus and Beckett. So we're going to keep a close eye on that, because he might have the opportunity to make an overtake in the straight, in the back straight here. and Hudson Pool goes a little bit wide and loses some speed, and here's a move that's going to be made. Marc-Olivier Bastien goes on the outside, and he regains the lead of the race. And Hudson Pool isn't going to really battle it that much. He's very well aware of the imminent doom in the back of Chad Swindell in the Red Bull, who's just waiting for the opportunity to make him a move. And I was talking earlier about how Bastien had to make a move count at the right moment, and he picked his moment properly in this kind of situation. Back in P1, I think we're going to see a lot of back and forth between these three drivers.
Yeah, I mean, you did say that the top three have pulled away from the rest of the field, but they can't quite pull away from each other just yet. Something of doom you called Chad Swindell, and now Hudson Pool is experiencing every single bit of that under pressure, but he is a bit faster in a straight line. That may be due to the tow he's getting from the Williams driver, but he's not making those medium tires work. So this strategy, I mean, if it keeps going on like it does right now, it won't work out for him. So he really needs to make this overtake happen for the lead of the race again, then try pull away with his medium tires, but at the moment it doesn't look like he has the pace to do so. Chad Swindell, look at him, he's gotten wide again, has Hudson Pool through Copse, so this isn't really helping his case whatsoever. So now Chad Swindell could even get interested here, but he doesn't have a good run through Maggots and Beckett. So we go back onto, I forgot if this is the Hanger Straight, the Wellington Straight, whichever one it is. We have Hudson Pool maybe trying to make an overtake here. He's got the battery advantage quite a bit, about 20% more than Marc-Olivier Bastien ahead, and about 5% more than Chad Swindell behind him. But there's plenty to see in the rest of the pack, as multiple drivers are going through the Vale Chicane now. This DRS train is still going, and it's going quite a ways. It's gone from Magnussen Cube, now that Marcel Paps has flown away, and it goes all the way back to Sid. So lots of fighting expected from this little train, but it also could come from the train of Eric Carvalho, Max, Hector Ochoa, Aaron Altmaier, who has always found himself in a good position, I've had to say. Even if he's not the fastest driver on track, he still finds himself in a good position, no matter what his situation is. And Hudson Pool, we go back on board with him now. He's gone very close to smacking into the back of the Williams driver. So I think he does have just a bit more pace at the moment, but does that matter enough? Can he make any overtakes happen, as Cam Bourne and Kyle Blevins are going wheel to wheel, and still going wheel to wheel down this small old pit straight here? Will they go side by side through Copse? Cam Bourne really trying to force him out wide, but he hasn't done so, and you can see there's another position. So now he is just a couple positions down in the DRS train, and Kyle Blevins has made it up one position. So we'll stick on board with Kyle Blevins, actually see if he can make an overtake happen through this next straight. I'll also go on board with Hudson Pool as he goes for the lead of the race on Marc-Olivier Bastien. Chad Swindell can't make anything of it, but as I said, Kyle Blevins makes an overtake, Colin Edwards makes an overtake on Cam Bourne, and like I said once again before, this DRS train can produce so much action, and we are yet to see all of it.
Yeah, absolutely. As we've seen so far throughout the race, Marc-Olivier and Hudson, they are switching positions for the lead of the race back and forth. The only person who's had to be very patient and who hasn't had the chance to really go for a move so far is Chad Swindell, who's comfortably sitting in P3. But so far, surprisingly, the top three drivers have been really tame on using their battery, especially Hudson Pool. Look at this. His battery is almost quite full. And so when he's going to need it, probably near the end of the race, he's definitely going to have enough battery to help himself be in a defensive position. Compared to the other drivers. Real quick, looking at the top gains and the top losses, Kyle Blevins is currently in P10. He's gained 5 positions, as has Marcel Paps gained 5 positions. Colin Edwards, P11, gained 6 positions. Major Castman has gained 6 positions, starting in P19. He's now currently sitting P13, and he's right behind his team. His teammate of Cam Bourne. And so Nathan Doan, team principal for McLaren, you talked about how Major Castman was a great engineer. So far, he's having a great race for himself, keeping out of trouble and taking advantage of situations in front of him for some overtakes. And once again, Marc-Olivier Bastien, at some point, we're just going to lose track of it, but it's back again on the lead. Marc-Olivier Bastien in the Williams. Hudson Pool didn't even try to defend for this move this time. His battery is
Whoa,
still
whoa, whoa.
practically full. There is something going
Colin
on in the
Edwards
back.
spun
Colin
around.
Edwards has been spun around. Where's their contact and is there damage? Looks like
Oh.
the front wing is intact. He's got fast-paced drivers coming up behind him. Quentin K and out of the Vale chicane. And I don't know if there was, Nathan, I don't know if you saw that. Was there any contact in that kind of situation?
Yeah, so no contact, but Colin Edwards was going defensive from Magnussen Cube, and he got too much on the inside curb. He was actually 4 tires onto that curb, and then he got launched out to the exit curb, and then he just got flung around. The rear stepped out from under him, and he slid onto the grass. Luckily, no contact with any barriers, but still, it's been a bit of a struggle for him. You can see the wheel spin that he's getting now. Maybe the tires are a bit hot, but that is exactly what happened. Sky Race Control, back to you.
Absolutely. We are expecting rain near the end of the race. We don't know exactly what lap we should be expecting it, so it'll come. And as we know, and I'm pretty confident that has not changed at some point, is the skies are going to get gray and it's going to get very dark, and we're going to get enough rain. Big question here is, will it be enough for it to be full wet, or will it just be a drizzle and barely onto intermediates? Is there
Here
some
comes Hus-
drivers on wet setups expecting heavy rain? I think you have more information in regards to the weather, don't you, Nathan?
Yep, so confirmed that it will become wet near the end of this race. We can expect around lap 16 at the latest, I think it's 14 at the earliest. I completely made that up, by the way, but that is what I can see from the clouds slowly coming into the view of all these drivers here. As I said before, Hudson Poole making it back into the lead, but Marc-Philippe Bastien is really not letting him slide here. I mean, he knows that if Hudson Poole stays behind him, then it will not benefit him whatsoever and his strategy will not pay out. And then later on in the race... Ooh, hold on, I just thought about something that I haven't thought about all race. If the rain comes as early as we think it may, then Hudson Poole could stay out until the rain comes, and then he will be on the same strategy as everyone else onto the intermediate tires. But strategies that wouldn't work, for example, we see with Freddie Razzle. You know, this is why he's overrated. Onto the soft tire, he wouldn't have made it onto the intermediate tires, I don't think. But the weather is surely to come soon.
Yeah, most definitely. And, you know, comparisons once again between F123 and F122. This season, the soft tire is a lot more raceable compared to last season's game. Still not necessarily the tire of choice as is in real life. But you could make it work. We've seen some drivers in Division 3 and Division 2 go for the hard, soft kind of strategies. As Max is thinking of making a move, almost made a move there on Eric Cavallo. He's going to go into the chicane. And, both of them are diving into the pits quite early. That's really interesting. Hector Ochoa and Eric Cavallo. Or is that it? Max? I'm actually on board with Max. Sorry, I'm Max and Eric Cavallo. I'm not used to seeing Era in the Alpine. Both of them into the pits quite early at this moment, lap 11, especially having one of the drivers being on the hard tires. Era's going onto the mediums. Max is back on hards, unless I'm turning this around. There's also Williams in the back. Magnussen Cube P18 going out on the mediums. And quite interesting in that kind of situation. And Eric Cavallo got a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane, as has, I believe, actually Freddie Razzle is a 3-second time penalty for track limits. And so, interesting. Maybe early moment to pit, especially knowing that the rain is coming. I'm wondering if the weather report has changed last second and maybe they're expecting it later than sooner. I mean, we're going to figure it out in the next couple minutes, that is for sure.
Yeah, man, I might have to move into the McLaren call real quick to try and get a strategy call out. I think Hudson Poole has just been overtaken again, but we'll see if he does come into the pits. But I'll let you take it away for a second, as I really need to tell my drivers to take into consideration of this rain here.
Absolutely, and Chad Swindell, in this moment, he's made a move for the lead. Why? Because drivers in the front of him have gone for the pits, and so Marc-Olivier Bastien and Hudson Poole are on in the pit lane. We're probably going to see a switch of tires here, and why? This is really interesting. With rain coming, the drivers tend to stick to their strategies, and so we're seeing Hudson Poole on the hards this time. We're going to see Marc-Olivier Bastien on the mediums at this moment. Obviously, the purpose of this is McElvey does not want to break his draft or his DRS advantage with Hudson Poole, and is really just following him at this point. Gonna try to make a last lap lunge for the lead. Officially, that puts Chad Swindell into the lead. 11 lap old hards, which could definitely hold their oh, looked like a bit of a moment, or unless it was just twitchy from usual lag as we have sometimes. And so, yeah, those hard tires could definitely hold their own for a couple laps. And so we'll look at that. But so far, given the pit strategies, we've got a little bit of a shakeup on the grid. We've got Major Castleman P5, Cam Bourne P3, Kyle Blevins in P4, even Hector Ochoa in P2. I think that's the highest you've ever seen Hector Ochoa on this grid since he's his inaugural season last season with us in Season 7 of ZRL in Division 1. And so keep an eye on those drivers who may or may not go into the pits. This time it is Hector Ochoa in the Alpine going to the pits. Is Cam Bourne going to follow him? No, he will not. Neither will Kyle Blevins, but Major Castlemans is in the pit. Chad Swindell not pitting so far. And so this is a real toss-up in regards to the incoming rain. We're beginning lap 13, Nathan, and I'm a bit confused in all the pitting here. If you're expecting rain very soon.
I have no idea what's happening now.
Yeah.
I mean, I tried going into the McLaren pit call, but no one is there, so this is not really a good situation for me. Fastest lap goes to Eric Cavallio on the new mediums. Major Castleman probably dropped down to around last year, honestly.
Yeah.
You could be able to make positions. Oh no, who's shutting me up? It's Seb. 10 to 15 minutes for rain tire wear is high, so that might be the reason people are pitting. Thank you, Seb. Very generous of you to provide that information. But people on the hard tires, I think it may not be actually as worth it as it seems to stay out and wait for the rain, because if your tires are truly degrading, then this will not be a good situation for you. If you stick it out into the rain, you may not even be able to make it into the rain stage without a puncture. So now we go on board with Kyle Blevins switching to the inside. Goes Cam Bourne, but it will not be enough to hold back the Red Bull. So right now, Red Bull 1-2, but I think that is subject to change very shortly. And now Kyle Blevins actually goes into the pits. Cam Bourne stays out. So Cam Bourne, he's a man on a mission here. He's losing time definitely to the people behind him, but I'm sure he knows what he's doing. Speeding in the pit lane is Johannes Ledvig, so we do see a pit lane penalty from him. Sid into P3, not a sight you see every day, but one I'd pay to see more often. So now we go to our kind of net leaders of this race here. We go on board with Marc-Olivier Bastien. Hudson Poole still right behind him. Now he's on the hard tires. And kind of a similar situation to what we saw earlier in this race. The hard tires are able to stick with the medium tires a bit more than you would expect. And so much so that we might even expect an overtake from Hudson Poole here. Does he go on the overtake? No, he doesn't, but he is in pretty good range on the DRS now. And he's not close enough on this range, but I think sooner or later we will see an overtake, maybe even this lap here.
This is the kind of strategy I was kind of wondering about earlier on. I think some drivers on the mediums had to pit a bit earlier than expected. And a lot of chat is going on, also mainly on our YouTube channel. A lot of the guys are very confused as to what is going on. Marcel Paps leaving the session. I believe he got a little bit of a boot there, seeing that situation yesterday in Division 2, so that's unfortunate for him. In regards to the strategy, we're kind of hoping as Chad Swindell goes into the pits, and so I think most drivers thought their tires would last until the rain, and I think that has changed. I think the rain has been pushed back to being later than sooner. And look at this, Chad Swindell going onto the medium compound. I was thinking, having gone so long on the hard tires, he might have gone soft, but he's going medium once again. And Cam Bourne is also in the pits. Let's see what he switches for. It looks like a fresh set of mediums as well. And something we're not going to hear very often this season, I think, and that is without meaning any disrespect to the driver himself, Sid Satgare is leading a Division 1 race. Here you go, Sid. Clip that. Put that up on your wall on repeat. And here it is. Sid is leading the race in Division 1 in the AlphaTauri. Kudos to him. Although he's going to have to pit eventually. 14 laps on those mediums. I think he's going to start to feel the pain and the tire wear so far. Needless to say, Marc-Olivier Bastien, as you mentioned earlier, Nathan, Marc-Olivier Bastien and Hudson Poole still quite closely behind one another. Probably going to see a couple switches of positions from them once again. And surprisingly, I would say, Chad Swindell, he's now sitting P4. He's quite a ways away from Marc-Olivier and Hudson. And so the overcut did not work in the pit. He had stayed out for 2, maybe 3 laps longer on the hard tires. Obviously, he's got a tire advantage right now. If rain comes earlier than expected, most probably he's going to be the loser out in the strategy in this regards. But that's something that's going to be played out in the next couple laps. We still have 11 laps to go. We're on lap 15 of 26 here in Silverstone. And officially, Sid Sagari is back into the pits, and there is a sector yellow flag. Marcel Paps, has he DNF'd completely?
Yes, he has.
And I don't know if
but
that
he's
is just
retired
a
on track
disconnection.
here. It must be, because he is now stopped in the Nova chicane, and he is off the track and retired from the session. That is the case for the Ferrari driver. We did expect to see something from him, not too great because he did disconnect previously,
Yeah.
but that just shakes it up a little bit. No safety car or anything for that, as you can expect from the F1 games. But anyways, we carry on. And so now what was once 3 drivers comes into 2, and now the fight for the lead is between Marc-Olivier Bastien and Hudson Poole. So around 5/10 the gap right now, but what we will see, I believe, these drivers won't go for an overtake for a long time. They won't try to battle as much as they can, because if they battle too early, then Swinny G, the man himself, he will catch up to the field or the 2, and he'll be on way better tires. So that is exactly what they want to avoid right now. At least that's what I would do. Maybe Hudson Poole has different ideas. If he does, then we are in for a real treat of a race here.
Yeah, most definitely. It looks like Hudson Poole is all over the rear of Marc-Olivier Bastien. I was really close there, but one thing I've noticed is the ERS management is definitely on Hudson Poole's side. He's not used his battery much compared to Marc-Olivier. Maybe Marc-Olivier tried to get away from get a 1 second gap from him, and that didn't seem to work. And so Chad Swindell, 127.9, fastest lap of the race. He's just about 4.7 seconds away from P1 and P2, and unfortunately for him, and that pit strategy is going to hurt him for sure. I don't think he's going to be gaining much on them. Maybe even a little bit in the sector 1s and village and everything. But due to the DRS advantage and the slipstream advantage from Hudson Poole on Bastien and vice versa, I think this is where we're going to see them pull away even further, as they did early in the race, as the trio pulled away from the rest of the pack. Well, this time it will be the duo pulling away from the third musketeer. Max is in P7. Looks like he had a moment. Did he have contact as well with Aaron Allmeyer? Looks like there was maybe an incident with both of those drivers. And now Allmeyer and Max, P6 and P7. I'm not seeing any damage on the Mercedes. I don't know if there's any on the Aston Martin. It looks clean so far. I don't know if it was related, Nathan. Did you get a glance on that?
Oh, I've got an insight of every single incident that's happened that you've brought up here, and I know what happened. So, it was Hector Ochoa trying to make a move as real quick, Hudson Poole making a move for the lead of the race quite early, and that's helping Chad Swindell catch up a little bit. Anyways, back to what happened. So, it was Hector Ochoa making a move on Max himself, but then Aaron Allmeyer tried to follow it through down the inside of... Man, I don't even know the corner name. Sorry, Seb. But I think it was turn 5, and it just did not work, and Aaron Allmeyer ended up basically shoving Max off the apex and almost off the track, I think. And that is why they are so far back from Hector Ochoa now. 1.7 seconds is quite a lot of time to gain in this late stage of a race, especially when Hector is on such better tires, and Aaron Allmeyer is still in the DRS, so maybe that's tactical. Maybe Aaron is trying to shove Max away from the DRS range so he can have him all for himself. Who knows? Whatever it is, it hasn't benefited Max in any way. But like I said, Hudson Poole into the lead of the race now on the hard tires, so we may be in for a very good treat of a race now, as Chad Swindell, he's up to 3 seconds within the 2 now. He was 4.1 seconds, none other than 10 corners ago. So he is absolutely on it, is Chad Swindell. And through Maggots and Beckett, we'll see if he just gains plenty of time. And this is where I really want to pay attention, and look how much time he's gained through that section.
2 tenths, 3 tenths
So-
already, 4 tenths. Look at that.
And now they're battling the front two, and Marc-Valier Bastien re-overtakes Hudson Poole for the lead of the race. They're so close to making contact, I have to say, through Stored Corner. But another clean overtake from these two. And so now, Marc-Valier Bastien, 56% battery. Hudson Poole, basically full battery. But Chad Swindell, 44% battery. So this battle could go any way with 7 laps to go, 8 laps to go in this race. So it's happened. We are going to be in for a thriller of a race here, and as these two in the front keep battling, Chad Swindell can only get closer from here.
Yeah, really interesting battle in the situation, and yeah, Chad Swindell is really making me look like a fool here because I didn't think he'd be able to catch up as that quickly to the top two. It seems racing in dirty air is slowing them down more than anything else. I thought trading for drafting would be helping them out, but we'll have to keep an eye on that as Chad Swindell is now at 2.4 seconds away from the trio, and that time is just going down very quickly. Very quickly, I just wanted to say kudos to the Alpine drivers. Although Eric Cavallo was starting the race in P2, he's now in P4, but Hector Ochoa at P5, and Hector really putting work here in Silverstone. I don't think that's the highest position I've seen him since last season, or just about, so really good performance for him so far. I'm hoping I'm not casting a broadcaster's curse on him by saying that Aaron Allmeyer P6 as well. Looking at position change, Aaron Allmeyer has gained 5 positions so far. Max is back in his original position, P7. Kyle Blevins gained 7 positions, along with Major Castman. Those are 2 drivers who's gained the most positions, as we're seeing Max going again and then Stoke Corner on the inside of Aaron Allmeyer, and goes for a more gentle move there, decides to leave it to Aaron Allmeyer and make a move later on the track, I guess. He still stakes to P7. Quentin Kay, who's started P16, gained 6 positions as well and is now in the top 10, and looks like he's on a flyer so far. He's a little bit separated from the pack up front of Kyle Blevins and Cam Bourne, who's also gained 6 positions in this corner. So a lot of winners in this race. You can't really trust qualifying too much to put your Looney on, because so far my Looney is good with Maccabi Bastien, but or I should say the Toonie, because we're betting Toonies now. We're a bit more rich, Nathan.
Oh yeah.
Duncan's paying us very well right now. However, yeah, so I mean, betting on qualifying, maybe for some top drivers, but in the middle of the pack, it's really a flip of the coin, as we're seeing more moves happening down at the bottom of the pack, and we just saw Freddie Rizal making a move on Sean Moriarty and De Haas for P18, although he's got a penalty. Once again, Hudson Poole making a move for the lead, and so they're just trading leads lap in and lap out here so far. However, Chad Swindell within 2 seconds of the top 2 drivers, and he's the guy we're going to keep an eye on throughout this race, because like this, he's at 1.6 seconds. His tire advantage is huge, and one thing I learned in the Division 2 race, it seems that the tire advantage is crucial towards the end of the race. Speaking of tire advantage, sorry about that, we're lap 21. Where's the rain?
Where is the rain indeed? I don't know what to tell you, man. I think with what you just said, that's definitely commentators cursed it. We'll see it in 5 seconds here, I bet. But this is really any man's race. Well, not really any man's race for everyone across the track, but kind of so. So, I mean, the lead in the race can really go down to 3 men so far. P6 can go to pretty much 4 drivers here. I mean, Max, Aaron Allmeyer, Cam Bourne, and Cal are still in the fight for P6, and there's very close battling between these 4 already. So after that, it's Quentin Kay who somehow finds himself into P10. He was P16 not so long ago, and now here he is. But after that, Magnussen Cube is right on his tail with 6% battery. Major is 3 seconds back, but he's got Colin Edwards for company. And as... how many times am I going to forget this man's name? I think it's Sean something.
Moriarty.
But he's gotten the fastest lap. And Moriarty, that's really hard to pronounce on its own. But anyways, so we go back to the front three, and look who is closing in so rapidly. Chad Swindell is almost into a 1 second gap of the top two. And he's got 43% battery still. He hasn't used pretty much any of his battery while he's chasing down these two. And now Hudson Pool and Marc-Olivier Bastien really need to... Oh, I think you're seeing what I'm seeing here. We see a bit of rain now. So it's all going to go down to, you know, who has the balls to stay out on these slick tires. Is that Maxime?
It is
Around.
Maxime.
I told him not to crash, and here we are. Maybe the rain has gotten to him just ever so soon. But right now, it is up to whether, if you can stay out on the rain, DRS will be disabled very shortly, I'd imagine. But will people pit? Will people stay out? Will people really have all that they need to keep going in this race, or will it be too slippery on this track? We'll have to find out in just a couple laps time here. As Chad Swindell is so close to DRS, he dumped his battery trying to get into the range, but he isn't there quite yet. Faster through Maggots and Beckett, so now with that Hudson Pool is onto the battery, onto the DRS. He's going for the lead of the race right here. But Marc-Olivier Bastien is just holding off ever so slightly. Does it go for a dive down the inside? No, he doesn't. Chad Swindell is just there, and Hudson Pool has to back out of a move that looked so close. But now the rain is really dropping. Now we see it not only on the little halo that's normally where you see it at the start, but now it's really pouring down in the track. I don't know if that's just me, but I do see plenty of rain now. So in the couple of laps that DRS will last, will these drivers be able to make overtakes happen in the short time that they have? Hudson Pool is only a few opportunities away from the winning this race. He's only got so many times that he can make this overtake happen. But now that he's got Chad Swindell now in the DRS, can he hold on to it even if he makes an overtake on Marc-Olivier Bastien? It's going to be very close.
Okay, it's going to be really intense end of the race here. We've got 4 laps to go, or I'd say 3.5 at this point. Lap 23 out of 26. Marc-Olivier Bastien leading the race, but not for long because he keeps trading every lap with Hudson Pool. And now Chad Swindell is back in the game with 8 lap old on medium tires. And as Nathan, you just said, that's the big question is who's going to pit and who's going to try to bring that car till the end of the line. And you're already seeing it's a little bit difficult through Maggots and Beckett's. The track is getting a little bit greasy there, and as Hudson's gonna try to make a move. I don't know if Chad, look at that speed, look at the top end speed compared to Chad Swindell. Hudson Pool is on the inside of Marc-Olivier Bastien, or on the outside I should say actually. He's gonna get on the inside of the Ville Chicane. We'll keep an eye on that. Where is he gonna be able to put himself there? Hudson Pool side by side with Marc-Olivier Bastien. Chad Swindell just following really close behind. So far not an overtake done here. And it's still Marc-Olivier Bastien in P1, but how long will that last with Hudson Pool all over his rear? He's definitely gotten a lot more aggressive at this point. I think he's looking to make some moves stick here. Got down into turns 2. He goes a little bit of a tire rubbing going on over here. A little bit of contact. Keeping it clean though. It's rubbing is racing. Bumper to bumper they go. What a beautiful view that is. And this is easy to remind us of the race we had 2 seasons ago. And this time Hudson Pool will take the lead. Going down into whatever this quarter's name is, because they all have names, and I don't know why they all have names. None of them remember them. That's Brooklands, and then in left field, and that is P1 for Hudson Pool. Probably the first time he, I believe, makes an overtake happen there, and is probably going to try to dump some battery power to gain a little bit more distance away from Marc-Olivier Bastien, and hopefully have Chad Swindell battle him in order to gain an even higher position. But so far, we've seen Sean Moriarty in the Haas P19. He's a lapped car. He's on the intermediates. I don't know if it's raining hard enough for it to be worth it to go on the intermediate tires. DRS is still active, and that's usually the first sign of, you know, heavy rain coming down, is when DRS gets deactivated. So far, we're about to begin the penultimate lap here, lap 25. Hudson Pool, a little bit of a rear sliding here in the Ville Chicane, but keeps it tidy nonetheless. And so that is going to be our top 3: Hudson Pool, Marc-Olivier Bastien, and Chad Swindell. 2 laps to go, ladies and gents. Who's going to come out on top with these 3?
So key play to this race here is that Hudson Poole saved his battery and now he's going all out on the battery. He's got all the advantage he needs, but now we go on board to Chad Swindell. He's right on the gearbox of that Williams and he's going to try down the inside. He doesn't have the straight line speed until he does, and now he's going to go down the inside for the lead of the not the lead of the race, sorry, P2, and he makes it stick, and now he has one more man ahead of him. These two could be rivals truly in this rest of the season, and it's going to start from here. He has a bit of a moment out of, I think that's left field, but whatever it is, he hasn't been helped whatsoever by that moment. So through Cops now, he's fully on the battery, is Chad Swindell, and we've seen Hudson Poole absolutely dust Chad Swindell in a straight line, but can he do the same for just a bit longer? This will be probably the third last opportunity to make an overtake for the lead for Chad Swindell, and look how close he's gone for the lead of the race. This is so close between these two drivers. 1 and a bit tenths clear is Hudson Poole, but going down to Stowe Corner, he does have as much as he needs to stay ahead. Now he's at 30% battery. Now Chad Swindell is at 8% battery, but look at the Mercedes slide around. Now Chad Swindell is going to go through in the Vale chicane. He's so close to the back of this Mercedes, but can he just make it stick for one bit longer? Can Hudson Poole keep it straight? And he does, but these two are so close to maybe setting the stone, it's not setting the stone, setting basically just the bar for the season we're about to have. So we go through this next couple of corners here onto the first overtaking opportunity here. This is the first of 2 last overtaking opportunities he has. So now on to the DRS. He doesn't make it here. He keeps on the battery. Actually, he takes it off. So now he's going to definitely go for it into Stowe Corner. And this will be one straight shootout here.
Yeah, absolutely. At this top 3, and I want to keep an eye on battles happening in the back of the pack because the mid pack is really tight in the back. Cam Bourne just made an overtake on Hector Ochoa, for P5, and so does Max for P6, and so Hector loses 2 positions, but nonetheless, we have to keep an eye on the top 3 as there's a sector flag in the back, and I believe that is Maxime Boulier once again having a spin out, and that'll be it for him. Hudson Poole is now vulnerable in regards to DRS. It is still active, however he's got the battery advantage. Will Chad Swindell down the Hangar Street? Does he have the top end speed to make the move stick? He's gonna go into Stowe Corner on the outside. Will he be able to make it work? Seemingly, he is just about, there's a little bit of contact, push him out on the curbs. It is Chad Swindell versus Hudson Poole into the Vale chicane. This is going to be a photo finish for this race, ladies and gents. Look at this, Chad Swindell's got the outside coming out of the Vale chicane into the final corner. Who's going to be coming out on top? It's going to be Hudson Poole for the win. It's only 1/100th of a second ahead of him. Chad Swindell, Red Bull, is in P2. Marc-Olivier Bastier, P3 in the Williams. What a great race for these 3 drivers. Absolutely wild. A lot of tire rubbing in the end there. That's maybe going to be looked at, but that was hard racing, absolutely. Hudson Poole takes the win. Eric Cavallo is in P4. Cam Bourne, what a race on his end. Nathan Doan, your top driver, is P5. Max is in Mercedes P6. Another Alpine in P7. Cal Blevins also gained a lot of positions throughout this race, and that puts him in P8. Aaron Allmeyer P9. Quentin K, a good recovery for him, although still disappointing to see him in P10. Gained 6 positions. Colin Edwards, Magnussen Cube lost 6 positions. Good qualifying, terrible race for him. Major Castleman 6 positions gained for P13. Paul Mariage P14. Johannes Ludwig P15. Sid, Maxim, Freddy, and Sean round out the bottom of the grid with Marcel Paps DNFing from the race in the Ferrari. Ladies and gents, Division 1 round 1 finished off with a complete firework. What a fun race that was. Magnussen Cube, for some reason, looks like it's DNF'd. I don't know if that's going to change anything in regards to the standings here. Wow, that was... I cannot wait to interview the top 3 drivers, Nathan.
Oh, me neither, man. I mean, last time I saw a photo finish like that was when I was maybe 4 years old down in my parents' basement watching Cars 1. I mean, you never see a finish like that quite so often, but now that we do have it, now that we have the reactions from these 2 drivers, I cannot wait to ask their opinions on this.
My goodness, and for some reason this scene is absolutely mute on my end. But yeah, we'll have to take a look into that in regards to. I mean, there's a bit of tire rubbing. I don't know if that's going to have to be reviewed, but it looked like hard racing, and for me, it looked like hard racing, clean racing from Hudson and Chad Swindell. These three, I'm going to include Marco Vibassin, gave absolutely everything. So that'll be really interesting to talk with them. But I think one thing's for sure, and I think that's going to be the main question for me. Honestly, I cannot. I really just want to hear how these guys appreciated the race, because that looked a lot funner than we've had in the past races last season in F122.
Yeah, I mean, we've got some, professional stewards in the YouTube chat. They say that it was a bit of dirty driving, but whatever it was, you cannot say that was not entertaining. That was the same thing Michael Massey said, but we don't look into it that far. So we have, I don't know if you're ready for interviews yet, but we do have Marc-Olivier Bastien
Let's bring it
in the interview booth. You want to bring it in? You ready?
I am ready. Bring him in.
Alright, so here comes P3 man for Williams. The one and only Marc-Olivier Bastien. Sorry I butchered that, but welcome to the interview booth. You've gotten P3. How does it feel in the first race of the season here?
Yeah, it feels good, man. It's good to be back. I kind of sucked to not get a win today, but I'll take the podium.
Yeah, sadly, Marc-Olivier, I lost to Tooney. I was betting on you for the win. But a P3 finish in a Williams. Before we focus on the race,
Yeah.
how about the quality of the race? Was it just the drivers, or is F123 a way bigger upgrade compared to last season's race and allowing much closer racing as it is?
Oh, it's an upgrade for sure. I mean, for you in the broadcast, I'm pretty sure the actual race was much better than Silverstone 22. I don't know. You tell me.
I was screaming. Y'all had
Yeah, all right. Yeah, so this game allowed you to overtake on DRS. So it's not like a big DRS train with nothing happening. You see me and Hudson overtaking each other. Actually, I think we had the same idea in mind. We were thinking the rain was coming, and I wanted it to be first for the enter or when they close the DRS, because that actually gonna give you the win unless you do a mistake after. But we are trying to be first for the rain, and the rain kind of comes, but never did. Actually, the DRS was still open on the last lap. So I boxed way too early to make the strategy work. I was boxing to go on intro on lap like 20, and that didn't happen. So P3 will take it. At the end, my tire was just dead. I couldn't follow them.
Yeah, so now you're driving for Williams, and with this result, I mean, it's definitely a good result. So do you think that you will be a very key part to Williams racing this season? Because Williams are a team that, aren't necessarily the worst, but they do need all the points that they can get. So do you think that you can really offer this kind of result day in, day out, or will it be just kind of a one-off? Will you try to make it more podiums here?
I hope so, man. I hope it's not a one-off. I don't think it is, but we'll see. It's the first race on the new game. We'll see how it goes for the rest, but I'm confident I'll be in interviews for at least one more or two more. We'll see.
Already your
I'll be
first
waiting.
podium this season on your very first race, Marc-Olivier. Congratulations on that P3 finish, and as you said, we definitely expect a couple more throughout this season. So yeah, we'll see you sometime soon, and hope you had a good one.
Thank you, guys. Merci, Ranger.
All right, thank you. Merci. All right, Nathan, let's bring in P2 finisher by only 1/100th, Chad Swindell.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I can even call this man a P2 finisher, because that was a winner's race, but here he is. P2 goes to Chad Swindell, and only by a small margin. How does it feel, Chad?
It feels good. I gotta calm down. I almost had like a heart attack on that last lap.
Talking about heart attack, you almost gave me one. I was literally shouting in my mic
Oh,
through
man.
that final action there.
Dude, it was insane.
Absolutely, did Chad? Listen, you had me completely wrong in regards to the pit strategies. Like when he got out of the pits, we were too far behind for the top two. I figured that is it. He's not gonna be able to catch up given the strength of the drafting on the straights. And lap in and lap out, you were gaining by several tenths a lap, and at the very end, you're up there in the top three. What was going through your mind coming out of the pits? Is that something that you planned out strategy-wise, or was it just you came out of the pits, realized you were far behind from the top two, and just had to put your head down and go? I'm gonna say it, balls to the walls. In this case.
So we were running a little higher wings than everyone else because we just made a mistake. We thought it was going to rain a little bit sooner than that. So my original plan was actually to like stick on the hards until it started raining. But about on like lap 7 or 8, we understood that like it wasn't going to rain until the last 3-4 laps. So it was like, it's not worth it. We're just gonna scrap that idea. I have been watching a lot of like PSGL and WOR, and I've seen that Jarno at USA like did a massive overcut and was able to like overtake like 10 people in the last lap with the hard medium overcut strategy. So I was like, hey, might as well try that, and it worked out pretty well. I also wanted to have as fresh of tires as possible once the rain came.
Yeah, so I mean, throughout this entire night, you've had absolutely amazing pace. I'm gonna focus on qualifying though. So I heard that Red Bull kind of messed it up with the session timer, but
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it's a one-answer question, of course. But given if you were on the intermediate tires, I mean, you would have definitely been on pole, wouldn't you?
Yeah, probably with the setup we were running. We were running, like I said, a high downforce, like intermediate / wet setup. So we were gaining a lot of time on everyone else in the wet. So it was just a mistake on our part as far as both knowing when the rain was going to come in the race and the timer, but. Yeah, probably a pole with the setup difference.
All right, one quick from me here. So I mean, we know that you're definitely on race winning potential, but with the likes of Hudson Pool, how are you really focusing on the competition this season? Are you just going to take it by race kind of style, or do you think that there's a long run approach that you should be taking instead?
I'm kind of taking a long run approach. I'm just trying to put in consistent results. You know, top 5 is really what we're aiming for, because everyone in the top 5 could win a race at any point in the season. So it's no surprise that Hudson won the first one. I don't think anybody here is surprised by that. But yeah, we're just trying to get some consistent results and hopefully get some points for the team.
All right, Chad Swindell, Sweetie G, congratulations on that really close P2 finish you've had there. We're going to have a lot more close racing throughout this season. Congratulations again for your great result, and we will see you next time.
All right, thanks. And congrats to Hudson as well. That was amazing, and it was great racing by Mark.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, Nathan, a race winner, Hudson Pool. You can bring him in. And from what I'm seeing real quick, Hudson Pool, he's raced a couple seasons with us. And I quote, "the most fun I've ever had racing in here." And there he is.
Most fun you ever had racing in here. So I mean, I guess it's gonna be positive opinions, but the main question, how are you feeling, man?
Dude, that was an awesome race. I thought the rain was gonna come sooner and we'd have to go to the inters, but obviously not. And it was quite fun. Balanced the line on slicks in the wet.
Yeah, really interesting battle there, Hudson. How did it play out for you? Just going back and forth with Marc Olivier throughout the entirety of the race. What was going through your mind throughout that? I want to call it a battle, but at the same time, it wasn't so much of a battle. It seems more like you guys were just placing your cars strategically and taking advantage of each other's draft.
Yeah, I think we both kind of just knew that if Chad reaches us, we're kind of fucked, and we were trying to use each other to boost each other to get away from him. He still caught us, which is insane, and it was an awesome fight between all of us there at the end. He was on my ass through exit of Beckett's, and yeah, Marc-Olivier Bastien had an insane pace today, especially from a controller driver. He really impressed me today.
So when races come down to such small margins like that, do you think that there's like a big amount of improvement that you could make to really stay ahead as you are right now, or do you think that right now you're at your max potential and you just got to keep doing what you're doing best? Because with the likes of Chad Swindell, you definitely have plenty of competition to keep behind you. So what's your approach on it?
Well, I don't know if I've practiced this much for a race in a long time. New game, I was psyched, and yeah, I don't know if I'll be practicing this much every race, but I'll still try to maintain the championship. Going into Hungary, it's probably one of my least favorite tracks, so it's not ideal, but I'll see what I can do there.
Yeah, absolutely. Hungary is going to be a little bit of a different kind of race compared to Silverstone, but nonetheless, round one was an absolute spectacular, and dare I say, I think the most spectacular season beginner to ZRL we've had in a long time. And thanks partially to you, thanks to Chad Swindell and Marc-Olivier Bastien. Well, that was top three, but in the midfield, there's definitely a lot of action going on as well. So if that is just a sign of things to come for the rest of the season, I'm really excited to see how that's going to pan out. Hudson, thank you again for your time. Congratulations on being the first F123 Division 1 winner in ZRL. And something tells me I'm going to see you in the broadcast booth a couple more times this season.
Thank you, man. Have a good one.
Nathan, Hungary next week. We're both racing there this time. Personally, I tend to agree with Hudson. Hungary is maybe more of a technical track, and with less overtaking opportunities, I would say. And that tends to make that track a little bit of a more difficult one. It's also another track where we can expect rain potentially to happen. And so what are your thoughts on what we might be seeing next week, in Hungary?
I mean, you know what they call Hungary, the Monaco with walls, so this might be a bit of a tough track to really make action of, but I think in the F1 games it's a bit easier to overtake, more than what we see in real life, of course, but I think it's still a good circuit for league racing. I remember a couple seasons ago there was a wet to dry race in Hungary, and it was absolute banger of a race. We saw Freddie Rizal spinning around and crashing into a wall, so there's that. But I think with what the circuit is, given that maybe we have a bit of weather in the race, it could be a really good race. It will be just normal short qualifying or anything, so no more opportunities like a sprint race or full qualifying or anything like that. But I don't know about you. I mean, I do know about you actually, but I kind of like the circuit, so I'm excited to race with you. Hopefully we'll be on completely different sides of the grid, but I'll be happy to see you on track.
Yeah, most definitely. And next week in Division 1, Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern, we will be having round 2. So far, taking the lead in the Drivers' Championship is Hudson Poole. I didn't really look into the constructors. I don't know. Alpine definitely had a really good showing. So did Red Bull, obviously, with Cobb Evans finishing in P8. And so we'll have those standings ready for our viewers next week. So tune in. Do not forget to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already on our YouTube channel. A lot more exciting races are going to be happening throughout the season. Nathan Doan, thanks to you once again for being my co-commentator, and I will see you and everybody else next Sunday. Good night, everybody.